So how do I really feel about the AEW talent pool? Well, let's find out. I'm John Retlin with my relaunch thoughts on the AEW roster part 1, at least part 1 of 3, because they have signed a whole lot of people, and I simply do not have enough time to give my full opinions on many of these talents in one video. And I also want to be fair and talk about my favorites and talk about some of my least favorites, because that's the great thing about being a wrestling fan. You can have favorites and least favorites. No matter the company, you can be critical of the bad and enjoy the good. And I may shock some of you all with saying this, but I've enjoyed Dynamite and AEW programming, pay-per-views, and Dynamite and Dark as a whole more than WWE programming, because WWE programming has felt very stagnant. And while Dynamite has its, pits, it also has a lot of, it's also reached a lot of mountaintops. It's done a lot of really good shit, booking of the women's division notwithstanding. But I'll be talking about that in a future video about the AEW product as a whole in the first year. But I've really enjoyed Dynamite. And the pay-per-view feels special. And Dark is also, it's a nice B show and everything. So overall, it's been really nice to see AEW grow as a company. They have some more improvements to make, in my personal opinion, but their roster is pretty damn stacked. So let's start talking about the men's roster. Jon Moxley, the current AEW World Champion, at least as of now. If you are watching this after All Out and MJF has beaten him, I'm sorry, my time machine was in a repair shop, and those repairs are very expensive, so unfortunately I was not able to see into the future. But Jon Moxley, yes, he was great as Dean Ambrose, even if he was creatively stifled, and he did have that elbow injury that kept him out for a while, and then he was just really riding out his contract until he could leave. And then he showed up at Double or Nothing last year, and then showed up in New Japan. His work in New Japan has been also fucking fabulous. His teaming with Shota Umino, as he calls him, Shota Umino, was fucking great. His performances in G1, his 2 times as U.S. champion. Really unfortunate that he has never been able to defend the title properly outside of a couple defenses. It's a real shame. But Jon Moxley has been a great boost for AEW, their current world champion. He's had some great feuds. Not everything he's done has been great, but way more positives than negatives. And Jon Moxley's a tremendous performer, and even though I don't care for the hardcore stuff he does, some people like it, I don't. Just because I don't care for deathmatch stuff doesn't mean other people can't. And Moxley likes it, and hey, if it appeals to people, cool. Doesn't have to appeal to me. I like Jon Moxley, and I'm a big fan of his. Now we get to Brody Lee, the current TNT champion. I would like to take this opportunity to say that if anybody was annoyed by what I said about Dynamite, the ending of Dynamite last week, I don't really apologize because I stand by my opinions. They're my opinions. Brody Lee is a very good talent, and I hope that he can make this work, but I don't care for the Dark Order gimmick, as you know. But just looking at, putting those things aside, Brody Lee's a very talented performer, but he's also felt very bland. I just don't really buy into him on Dynamite or Dark. I also want to clarify, I don't watch Being the Elite because I already have my attention divided between WWE, New Japan, and AEW. I don't have enough time to watch Being the Elite. And I also don't really find it that funny because the Bucks, Omega, and various others, they want to do comedy, they want to appeal to their fans, that's fine. It's not for me, but I understand it's a popular series. And I know Brody's apparently appeared on there, and if he's funny, great. And he seems like he's having more fun doing shit. And don't get me wrong, they're using him better here than WWE used him. But still, I don't care for the Dark Order, but at least he's doing something. And if he can make this work, he can make this work. Even if I didn't like the ending, it was what it was. And a lot of people liked it, and some people didn't. But Brody Lee is a talent, and I'm happy to see what he's doing here. And hopefully, some great things in the future. They may make him the world champion in a year or 2. Wouldn't be a bad thing. He's 40, but he can still go. His style's safe enough, and if he stays injury-free, he could go for another, 5 years as long as AEW still has their TV deal. He's going to do some great things. We then get to Adam Page, who I've been impressed with since seeing him in the G1 Climax 28 tournament. Now, I saw some of his stuff in Ring of Honor, but seeing him perform there was really, really good stuff. Adam Page is very, very good. His teaming with Omega has been fabulous. And so I'm just going to wrap this up right here because the next one's Kenny Omega. Them as a team has been really, really good. They were part of one of my favorite matches in wrestling, period, of 2020 against the Bucks at Revolution. That and the Bucks versus Golden Lovers match, a Strong Style of All 2018, are 2 of my favorite tag matches of the last 10 years, by far, because they combine storytelling with actual psychology. Yeah, I'm not a big Bucks fan. I'll talk about that a little bit in the future, but Paige and Omega got a lot out of the Bucks and vice versa. You could tell that they crafted a really good story here. Paige is a future breakout performer, likely as a heel, a drunk heel, but a heel nonetheless. And Omega, even though I feel that Okada really made him, and yes, I know he had a career before that, Omega was really made by Okada in that series of matches. Omega has had good matches to great matches on occasion. He had a great match with Pac in a 30-minute Iron Man match on Dynamite, which was pretty damn good. And he is good when he isn't just doing his normal spirit finger stuff and all that. So he's not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't think Omega's the best in the world. Paige is a bigger breakout star. He's also the younger of the two. But Omega has his fans and will get his world title run eventually. So both of them, while I'm not a fan of Omega, I am a fan of Paige. But I can respect some of the stuff Omega does when he actually wants to put on a good match and not just do all the crazy video game stuff. Then we get to TH2, Angelico and Jack Evans. They're a team. They're flippy. I've liked Angelico since Lucha Underground. Jack Evans, I don't mind him, but they're a mid-card team. I don't hate them, but they're a mid-card team. I don't really care for them, but I don't hate them. Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order. Again, the gimmick aside, they need to feature him a little bit more. Maybe I can be impressed with him. So far, he's just kind of meh to me. Austin Gunn, him and Billy Gunn. Oh, Billy, the whole cable guy reference. Austin Gunn actually is a pretty good talent and really great enthusiasm when he's in the crowd. He has potential. I'd like to see what he can do in a couple of years. But him teaming with his dad has got to be a goddamn thrill. And, he's pretty good. So let's see what he can do, as his career grows. FTR, Wheeler and Harwood. Let me just say this much, right? Or Cash and Dax. I'm just going to call them that. They are a fan-fucking-tastic tag team. One of my favorite tag teams remind me of Tully and Arn and the Midnight Express mixed together. They are really, really fucking good. Loved watching them in an NXT house show. They are fucking incredible to watch. The match that they had against American Alpha, the matches at Dallas and then also a TakeOver the End. If you think that FTR doesn't, only performs that well on TV or whatever, no, watch that. They had a series of fucking matches on the house show circuit, and I got to see one of those where fucking amazing. They are so goddamn good. And I can't wait to see what else they do. I hope that they take the titles from Omega and Paige, rather, that is. So hopefully we can get FTR versus the Bucks at some point, because it's a dream match we've all fucking wanted to see. And eventually it will be something that fans will talk about. Fans will enjoy. Fans will want to fucking see. It's going to be something. It's obviously going to happen at no earlier than the February not February, but November pay-per-view. Maybe even the February pay-per-view. They may drag this shit out because they are capable of doing that and telling some long-term stories. And sometimes crafting some good ones and then sometimes dragging some out way too long. But FTR is a great team. They're dynamite performers, no pun intended. They are really, really, really fucking good. Brandon Cutler. Him and Avalon are fine as a team. I'm just going to include Avalon here. I don't hate the team. I don't like the librarian gimmick, but Avalon's a good performer. And, Cutler's fine. Actually, he's pretty good in the ring. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a single if they don't get, anywhere as a tag team, and they haven't gotten a win yet. They lost to Luther and Serpentico on the most recent Dark episode, which was kind of weird. But, yeah, Cutler and Avalon, they're a decent enough team. I think Cutler has breakout potential, but he's also just kind of there, and same with Avalon. Then we get Brian Cage. He's a machine who is also injury-prone. And injuries happen. Sometimes the injury bug bites and it doesn't let go. Cage is very good and very skilled, especially for his size. And it's a good thing AEW doesn't have a wellness policy. That's all I'm going to say for him and others. Cage is good. I just don't... He's a machine. Yes, he's intense, but character kind of has a short shelf life. I mean, he is what he is. He'll appeal to some fans. I don't hate the guy, but when I saw him show up at, Double or Nothing, I'm like, oh, cool. He's there. Good for him. I hope he has success, but Taz is helping disguise his weaknesses. That much I'll say. Chris Jericho. Chris Pandemico, if you will. I've kind of lost a lot of respect outside the ring for Chris Jericho, and even inside the ring, because he doesn't look like he's in the best in-ring shape. His commentary is kind of funny because he just screams and shouts a whole lot. Some of his feuds have actually not been that bad, but a lot of the comedy stuff has started to wear on me. Where if this stuff was done in WWE, people would kill it, and rightfully so. And AEW sometimes has done some good comedy. But I don't like bad comedy in wrestling regardless of the company. Jericho, to me, if he survives wrestling past this year, I'll be amazed. Because he just doesn't have it anymore. I'm sorry, he doesn't fucking have it. he's fucking done. He's still a big star, and he does move the needle, and he is good for ratings, but his time is running short, and he knows that. But also, I've kind of found his character to be stale, so hopefully, maybe he can have a couple more good feuds before he hangs it up. But right now, I don't really care about this feud with Orange Cassidy, but hey, people like it, and that's fine. But some of that outside the ring stuff, even trying to separate the wrestler from the the real person, kind of hard to do that when you got a guy kind of being really idiotic about a lot of things on social media. So, we then get to SCU, Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. I met all three of these guys in an indie show last year, and Daniels I've loved for many, many years. Fan-fucking-tastic in TNA, now Impact Wrestling. Same with Frankie Kazarian. Both men should have been world champion at one point each. And Scorpio Sky, probably the best performer of the three, at least most athletic. But Sky will be the breakout performer as a singles. And Kazarian and Daniels are great as a team for this reason. Daniels is near 50 but still moves incredibly well. Kazarian is in his early 40s, and they're veterans of 20 plus years. I think indicates that Daniels, he's going to be at 30 by 2023, or 2023 that is. So it'll be interesting to see if they wrestle that long. And I think Daniels will be like 51 at that point. But both of them are really, really good first ever AEW Tag Team Champions, which I was surprised by. And Sky's going to be a future champion. Maybe he'll be TNT champion. Maybe they'll even make him world champion down the road. Best friends. I'll just throw Orange Cassidy in here. I like Trent. Chuck, I don't care for at all. I don't really care for Chuck Taylor. Orange Cassidy, he appeals to some people. He doesn't appeal to me. I don't like the gimmick. I don't get the gimmick. It's not for me, but a lot of people like it. I've kind of softened on being angry about the Orange Cassidy character because whatever. I've gotten to the point now where it's like after recent blow-ups and reviews where I'm like, I don't know if I really need to get angry about stuff because what's the point? Unless it's something really serious. But the best friends, like Trent's a really good singles wrestler. And I think could be a breakout singles wrestler. But him and Chuck work well as a team. He disguises the weaknesses that Chuck has, which is pretty much all of them. And Orange Cassidy compliments him fine, even if I don't get it. We then get to Shima of the Stronghearts. I met him at an indie show last year, and he is fucking awesome and wrestles really goddamn well. Despite 20 plus years in the ring, you wouldn't even know. I mean, you can tell how smooth he is in the ring, but the way he moves, it's like he's, freaking 25 instead of in his, early to mid 40s. He's really, really good. And the Stronghearts are also a good team. But yeah, Shima's very good. I think he's back in China or Japan, but honestly, I would like to see him come back, to AEW television when the travel restrictions get lifted. And really, he is very, very good. I also should clarify, I looked at the roster page on AEW.com. So if any of these have changed in the next few days, sorry guys, I don't have the clairvoyance to see that. Cody Rhodes. I mean, what do you want me to say about Cody? He's probably the biggest star. He's booking himself like Dusty did in 1988, unfortunately, where some people are going to get sick of him. That's a great Brian Last line. And I can't help but agree with that. Even if, I don't agree with everything. That line actually holds true. Cody's trying everything he can to use his star power and his executive vice president position to get people over. And it's working to an extent. I liked his open challenge matches. I liked the match against Sonny Kiss and Scorpio Sky and some others. I didn't like all of them, but he did what he could and worked with a bunch of indie talents, and that was a good thing. And some undercard talents in AEW. It was nice to see him work against Sonny Kiss, even though I know some people aren't going to care for Sonny Kiss. But then we get to Colt Boom Boom Cabana. Yep, he's on the roster. They're also associating him with the Dark Order, but even outside of that, Colt just feels like he's kind of there. He got a few quality wins for a few weeks, and then was kind of just, now he's in the storyline. Colt is very good when he wants to be, when he doesn't just want to do the comedy. And he's good at the comedy, don't get me wrong. Him and Yano in New Japan were a fucking great tag team. They were a really fucking entertaining tag team. Even though I can recognize that Yano may not be for everybody. But Colt's got a ceiling, and his ceiling is really just to be there as a veteran to eventually put people over. But he does it well. With his 20 plus years in wrestling, it makes sense. They have a good mix of people that are on, that have wrestled 10 plus years that can help elevate a lot of the younger talents. I just hope that they start doing that correctly. But yeah, Colt, I don't mind him, but he's just there. Darby Allen. I met Darby Allen multiple times at various indie shows. I fucking love Darby Allen. I'm afraid he's not going to be walking by the time he's 30 or 35 with the way he does the coffin drop and so many other moves. But he is fucking incredible. He is going to be one of the breakout stars that they have because Darby Allen is fucking great. He is fucking great. I'm not a fan of like all the skateboard stunts and whatever because I think they're very dangerous, but it's what he wants to do with his life. But I love watching him in the ring. He captivates you. He makes you watch him. Is he great on promos? He's actually a pretty good talker. I talked to the guy a few times. Really well-spoken guy and really, really nice. But, you know, as far as like how he translates on TV, I think it's going to take some time. But doing the vignettes that they did, like building up that feud with Sammy Guevara, actually was pretty good and a pretty good way to get him over. So do some more of that. But Darby, I think he's going to be TNT. They could have him beat Brody Lee, and it would actually be kind of something unique because he'd be a dark, spoopy character. But, you know, Darby, really, really good and one of their breakout stars. Dustin Rhodes. I mean, that match with Cody is still going to stick out in my mind 30 years from now, unless the world blows up. That match of Double or Nothing versus Cody is one of my favorite matches of all time. I need my older brother. If that didn't tug at your heartstrings, forced or not, I don't know what would. But Dustin, he's got another year or two left, but he is still really good in the ring. His teaming with QT Marshall, I'm just going to talk about now, he's also there. He's not bad. I mean, QT serves a purpose. He's kind of a part-time coach. His gym was used, to do some tapings during the, the beginning of the ongoing global, trash that's going on right now. And QT's a decent performer. Him and Dustin are a good team, but QT's also he's just a mid-card act just to be there. But he's good. He's a good performer. He's just very nondescript if you just put him on his own. Then the Dark Order, Uno and Grayson. I want to say right now that even though I don't like the Dark Order gimmick, as I've said multiple times in this video and other videos, I like what Evil Uno did about, wanting to help indie wrestlers when indie bookings started being canceled, and Evil Uno did something, to say, let's help people. And he had Braun Strowman stick his goddamn foot in his mouth because he's a goddamn idiot and a goddamn piece of shit. Evil Uno doing some good stuff like that, that was cool. He actually has a pretty funny Twitter. Stu Grayson, he's a good wrestler. They're good. They're a decent team, decent performing team. I just don't care for the gimmick. But even taking that out, I don't know. The gimmick is what it is. The team is what they are. They have their fans. They have their detractors. I don't mind them in the ring. But again, I just don't care for the gimmick. But Uno does some good shit on Twitter. And Grayson also is a pretty good performer and could be a pretty good singles wrestler. As far as his look, he's got a pretty good look. And then we get the Butcher and the Blade. I don't mind this team, and I'm interested to see what they do with the Lucha Bros, because they're going to be teaming with them seemingly with Eddie Kingston. Butcher and Blade are a good team. They had to win me over after their weird debut and losing a whole bunch of matches, but I think they're pretty good. Blade, I don't know why he has a gimp mask. Butcher, of course he was, having chopped meat at one point when they faced off against the Young Bucks in that Falls Count Anywhere match. But they're a good team. They won me over eventually. It took a bit, but I could tell they knew what they were doing, but they just needed to be given some more in-ring time, but they are a pretty good team. Eddie Kingston, one of the best talkers, one of the best promos in wrestling today, period. He may not be able to go in the ring very much longer. I think he is currently injured or they're trying to find a role for him, but him being a manager would be fucking perfect. It's not that his work is bad, but it looked like he suffered an injury against Cody in that pretty blowaway, TNT Open Challenge. But Eddie would be perfect as a manager. He could fucking talk anybody into the building and talk him into wanting to kill him. But because he comes across as himself, as real. I wouldn't even say with the volume turned up because he just seems like he's so fucking real. We then get to Santana and Ortiz. Santana could be a breakup or singles guy. And I know I've said that a few times. Ortiz is not bad, but he's got his cocksock out, and that's a bit weird. Honestly, I think Santana and Ortiz are fine. They just don't do anything for me as a team. Private Party. Mark Quinn is a future single star. A mega star. He is very, very good. Isaiah Cassidy is also good in the ring. But he is going to be the lesser of the two if they ever break up the team. And that's not to say that Isaiah is bad at all. Mark Quinn just has a flashier style and a flashier look and everything, and he will be a breakout star. We then get to Jake Hager. I mean, you want to talk about being difficult to separate the wrestler from the person. Just look at Hager's Twitter. He's a fucking moron. Also, he's bland and not very interesting in the ring. Is he legit as an athlete? Sure. He's also bland, and he also can't cut promos, and his wife should never be on TV again. But honestly, Jake Hager, just as a wrestling character, bores me. Joey Janella is one of the worst wrestlers I've seen given a big money contract by a big wrestling company. He is fucking rotten. I've seen him at 2 indie shows. He's fucking terrible. He can't do anything. He can get a crowd of 500 people to, like him and cheer for him. And he loves his White Claws. And nothing against White Claws if you like them. I mean, I don't drink because I'm an asshole without alcohol. But Janella teaming with Sonny Kiss is fine because Sonny Kiss can do the work and Janella can do botches and screw up and everything. He's not good. He's just not fucking good. I don't get necessarily how people can defend him. And I'm not saying I want him to lose his contract. If they want to keep him signed and use him, fine. It's their money. It ain't mine. I just think he's fucking rotten. I don't think he's a rotten human being. I think he's a rotten wrestler. And then we get John Silver as a Dark Order. Silver and Reynolds. Again, they're 2 guys that didn't really mean much of anything and they're in masks. And one of them got pinned by Marco Stunt on an episode of AEW Dark. I mean, that right there. Jurassic Express. Luchasaurus should do a few more big man things and do the flips and a couple kicks and stuff like that. But he's really good at being a big man, despite, the goofy gimmick. I saw him at some indie shows, early indie shows I went to. And really good. He is really good. Jungle Boy is a breakout star. It's going to take a few years with him because he's going to have to gain more experience and get some big matches and stuff like that. But him versus MJF at Double or Nothing was fucking great. It was really fucking good. Marco Stunt, I do not care for as a wrestler. As a person, got nothing against the guy. Marco Stunt should not be in the goddamn ring. People compare him to Spike Dudley. Spike Dudley, at least you could believe that he could do something in the ring. I don't believe for a second that Marco Stunt, anything he does, helps anybody. Archer beating the shit out of him was about the only good thing they've done with Marco Stunt in the entire time that he's been with the company. Just keep him outside the goddamn ring and don't let him wrestle. But anyway, Jurassic Express, though, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus are a good team. I like them because it works, the David Goliath thing. Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian is a good talent. Probably mid-card at best, but I think he's got some good personality and he's, pretty good as a good cocky heel. He has some really good skills. Lance Archer. Everybody dies. I love Lance Archer. If Lance comes to any of the indie shows, once indie wrestling comes back to Washington, once they open and allow crowds to come back, if Lance Archer comes to the one in Seattle, I will absolutely go up there. I want to go up and shake his hand and just want to say, hey, you're one of the best big men that I've seen in the last 20 years. And he really is. He can do a moonsault. He can do some really good agile shit. And also, he's fucking terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. He was tearing up in New Japan, was U.S. champion for a bit, and then went to AEW. And if they had put the TNT championship on him, I think it might have been almost better, especially in retrospect, since they haven't done jack shit with him since. But I like Lance Archer. His teaming with Jake Roberts is what it is, but Archer's a good talent. Luther is not a good talent. This is proof that if you know some people, you will get a job. Luther, the Japanese deathmatch legend. Why does he scream so much and why is he there? He's friends with Chris Jericho. That's it. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't care. Luther's just not very good. Matt Hardy. He's got, a year left in the ring. Matt's in decent enough shape. Actually, he's in better shape than he has been in the past couple of years. I just don't care. I'm sorry. I just don't care because Matt's still a good promo. He's decent enough in the ring. This feud with Sammy Guevara's got going, which I think is ending really soon. He's good enough in the ring. I just don't fucking care. I'm sorry. I just don't. Matt is a veteran that really should be behind the scenes at this point. Because he's been wrestling long enough, and I want to see him be able to walk, for the rest of his life. I don't think he's going to be able to if he keeps going. But am I a fan of Matt Hardy? I think he's hung on a little too long. But it's his career, it's his life. MJF. Now, this is where I'm going to end. And I'll talk about everybody else in another video. MJF is one of the best heels in wrestling, one of the best promos in wrestling, if not the best promo in wrestling. I love MJF. Is he a bit over the top? Sure, but you know what? He gets it. He could have been in any territory and he probably would have gotten killed because he probably would have gotten the fans so riled up they would have tried to go right at him and riot. But he is so fucking fantastic and just great at getting under the crowd's skin and getting under the fans' skin on Twitter. And just really, really good at the promos. And his ring work makes sense. He's very good. He's very classic heel. He sort of reminds me of Tully Blanchard a little bit. Except I hate to say it, I think MJF's a little bit better than Tully on promos. And Tully was incredible on promos. But MJF's one of my favorite wrestlers. He did one of my favorite, in any company. Doesn't matter. That's where I'm going to leave that off. So I'm going to do the second part at some point. May end up just doing 2 parts because I didn't think I'd skip through that many people. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.